Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis. I am the host of Forbes True Crime. Joining me now is Matt Starker, the CEO of Audiochuck. Matt, thanks so much for joining me.
Brittany, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm really excited to speak with you. You joined the media company Audiochuck earlier this year as the CEO, and Audiochuck is home to some of the most popular true crime podcasts like Crime Junkie, The Deck, Park Predators, and Anatomy of Murder, to name a few. So to start off the conversation, were you always a crime junkie?
I was loosely a crime junkie. I wasn't like the avid Monday, you must listen, but I knew Crime Junkie, I knew The Deck, I knew Ashley Flowers, and like I think what they've done and what they've built and what she's led is just unbelievable. And to be like the premium brand in podcasting, in true crime podcasting, I think it's just like it's a hard place to win at because there's so much competition, and it's just so great to see it.
And Crime Junkie is one of the most popular, most streamed podcasts in the world. But for those who aren't crime junkies, the hosts are two childhood best friends, Ashley Flowers and Britt. And it started off as a startup feel, just the two of them talking about cases every Monday, as you said. Now Audiochuck and Crime Junkie in general is a juggernaut. Audiochuck was valued earlier this year at $250 million. What was your experience coming in as CEO to this startup feel? The two hosts are two best friends. I mean, what was that like for you?
I love working with like exceptional talent. And so the opportunity to work with Britt and Ashley and the rest of the Audio Chuck host community, that was one of the things that drew me to the job. Like, I think we have a very high bar. And I think the type of journalists that we work with, the type of reporters that we work with, the type of hosts that we work with, they're enthusiasts. They really love what they do. And I think that separates them from the pack. And I think, specifically on Ashley and Britt, I think like the dynamic and the format that they've created in the podcast space is just incredibly unique. And I don't think you get that without having 20, 30 years of experience of just being like best friends together.
Yeah, I think that would be really hard to manufacture, and you can just tell. As I listened to Crime Junkie since it first came out, and you can just tell the friendship, you can tell the love there, and you can tell how much that they care about what exactly they're talking about. And I think it's just fascinating to have seen it grown from two people, two best friends talking about this, to now it's expanding even further. It seems like it's an exciting time for Audiochuck right now. There's a new partnership between Audiochuck and Tubi, and the Wall Street Journal valued this multi-year deal at $150 million. And Ashley Flowers, she's the founder of Audiochuck, this is how she described the deal. This first-of-its-kind partnership represents the next evolution of what independent media can achieve. By joining forces with Tubi, we're not just expanding our reach, we're redefining how true crime stories are experienced across audio and video. So as the CEO, as someone who's expanding Audiochuck, what exactly does this first of its kind partnership and storytelling look like?
Yeah, I think the podcast industry is changing rapidly, I think on multiple fronts. And I think as as podcasting is becoming more of an audiovisual format, like we're here today, audiovisual, I think partnering with someone who understands video, who has the distribution, who has the reach, who has the monetization expertise in that format and the production expertise is something that was really important to us. And so when we think about Tubi and we think about the larger Fox parent, like they know video, they know how to scale video, they know how to monetize video. I think that was really exciting for us.
And so I guess on your end, you have all of these reporters, you have all of these episodes, you have all of this writing and this investigation and this research. You have all of this material. Now you're partnering with someone who's good at video. What do you do next with that partnership? Where do you see that growing?
Yeah, I think for us, we're starting our video experience on YouTube and we have our Crime Junkie channel. So every Monday you get day and date releases with the podcast. We also have created a channel called Crime Junkie Jury, which is our version of Court TV. And so we selectively are putting up trials and following them in real time. And so I think you'll start to see more shows show up on YouTube, more shows show up on Tubi. And then like those will be the vodcast formats. And then we have pretty large aspirations on the TV side. And so like the streaming side. And so we're beginning to develop out what our shows will look like in the premium TV space and then who we'll partner with, whether that's like a big streamer or sort of a larger media company with multiple different, broadcast/streaming distribution channels.
And then when you're looking at where to expand next or what shows to go into, what people are interested in, how much do you rely on the crime junkie community or the Audiochuck community, the people that are listening to these podcasts, to kind of point you in that direction? I mean, what does that really look like? Because I'm sure you know, the true crime industry and the true crime fans are a very vocal audience.
I mean, our audience is everything to us. Like we think every single day, how can we better serve our audience? Like without them, like we don't have a business. And so like I mean, Ashley is emphatic about making sure we are listening and communicating with our community. Like her first hire outside of her was a fan engagement person to make sure that they were like actively communicating. So for us, like it's always thinking about the fan, always thinking about what stories we can tell them, always thinking about how we can help activate them. I think what's really unique about our community is like they're not passive. Like they are there to support and help like solve some of these cases. A unique thing that I mean, this like totally shocked me, but we get hundreds of case suggestions a day from our community. Like it is amazing how much they are telling us what they want to hear and how they want to hear it. So it's our job to make sure we do right by them and right by, the victims' families and the law enforcement agencies that we're working with. But like that's what we're focused on every day.
I want to talk about the true crime industry because there is a crazy stat where, according to Edison Research, over 80% of Americans aged 13 and older consume some sort of true crime content. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's obviously a real market for this type of media. But on the flip side, it's telling a story and dealing with a tragedy of someone's worst day, a family's worst day, a victim's worst nightmare. I mean, what do you think of the true crime business overall?
Yeah, we have really firm like mission, vision, values at Audiochuck, and so like we tell the right stories at the right time for the right reasons, and so we're always working with the victims' families, making sure we have permission. We're working with law enforcement agents, make sure that we're like getting the story right and accurate. And I think like it's not cheap to have a team of reporters and like make sure you're actually having the conversations and make sure you're actually telling the story as accurately as you possibly can. And I think like that is really, really important to us. And that's something we're never going to compromise on. And so, yes, while it is a devastating day for a family, we hope that we are bringing light to the case and hoping to have a positive outcome, whether that be solving a cold case or investing in the philanthropy or charity that family has in the victim's name.
And I want to point out the quote that you said because it's on Audiochuck's website, telling the right stories in the right ways for the right reasons. And it's obviously a really delicate balance, right, of telling a story with care, advocating for a victim, ethically telling a story. Audiochuck has said that their community has had a hand in solving 6 cold cases. I mean, talk to us about that sense of philanthropy that you feel as a CEO in giving back to this community.
Yeah, I think I mean, anything in life is done locally first, right? And I think like what's really fun about working at Audiochuck is we're an Indianapolis-based company, and we're very active in the Indianapolis community. We have an amazing director of philanthropy that works on the staff who helps shape our guardrails around where we want to invest our time, effort, and dollars. That covers everything from like the true crime community to the LGBTQ plus community to food insecure community. And so we have a number of different areas that we go after from a philanthropy. And I think like we're very fortunate that we can make a big impact locally. And now we're starting to grow out that local program, not just in the Indianapolis area, but on a much more national basis. So we're excited to take it to the next level.
I'm someone who has been a true crime content fan for years. I think I came out of the womb watching Dateline, but I think the podcasts at Audiochuck, they do a really good job and a purposeful job of having millions of people listen to cases that they wouldn't have heard otherwise and shining a light on stories and victims that are traditionally underrepresented. And some of these people in this community, as you and I have discussed, are taking action. So knowing this, in 2026, what exactly does the next year look like for Audiochuck?
I think for us, it's continuing to do what we do really well, which is making sure we're telling great, like that we're telling the right stories in like a responsible way. So that's never going to change. That's always going to be our North Star. But format expansion is going to be really important to us. And so as we think about like we're going to be launching more shows on YouTube, we're going to be launching our first ever Crime Junkie fast channel next year, and so we're going to have our first linear experience with our partnership with Tubi. And then we're going to be, thinking about adding new shows. And I think as we think about new shows, like we think about how do we reach more true crime fans. And so like you threw out a stat for medicine research, like we firmly believe that stat. Like we only reach a fraction of that audience today, and we think there's more reach that we can have by by bringing new shows and new hosts into our network.
I mean, and that stat is really just crazy, right? I mean, there's people that watch true crime content, when they're going to bed to kind of unwind. I listen to true crime podcasts when I'm doing stuff like my makeup. I mean, why do you think that there's so many people with such an appetite for this type of content?
I think it's just like, first of all, it's true, and I think like truth is always stranger than fiction. I think some of the stories that come out are like you're jaw dropping with like what's happening, and so I think that just is captivating unto itself. And then I think there is just like this has happened in real life, and I want to know about it for my own sort of like information, self protection, self preservation. I think there's just this natural curiosity that is just hard to deny when it comes to this type of storytelling.
Well, there's certainly a lot to look out when it comes to everything Audiochuck's doing, and I'm excited to see what you all have in store for 2026 and beyond. Matt Starker, thank you so much for the time. You're welcome back anytime.